What's up, people? It's another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best podcast from two metal dudes who are really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horskow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TM, Tim Edger Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Awesome. Feeling great.
Fantastic. And joining us this week, very special guest, the first time we've had him on solo, I think, drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike White. Mike, thank you for joining.
Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome. I appreciate it.
We are stoked to talk all things drums. So I guess I'll start off with the germane question, Mike. Why drums? What led you to bang on things for a living?
So my dad was a drummer, and growing up, I always had kid in the house. Music always happened and stuff like that. And he passed away in 2001. So, I was like, I could play drums like maybe, but I kind of want to try my own thing. So I failed at guitar very quick. And I was like, this is way harder than it looks. So I just, would go into the living room and just try it out. Of course, it was just natural. And I just fell into it. And of course, my mom was super supportive, and she was like, drums, whatever you need, like, let's do it. Let's send
That's
it to
awesome.
the moon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
So I've
what
never
what type of drummer was your dad, Mike?
just local in the house jamming around stuff. He,
Okay.
he
Okay.
had, he had his drums since he was a kid. I think he bought it in the 60s. So banging around the house, and then he played with his buddies some, and I think they did a couple bar gigs, but it was nothing super serious.
Okay.
He was a pretty serious electrician, so he spent all his time doing that, and then raising me and my sister. So it was never a
Okay.
career thing for him.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure
Okay.
it was cool for your mom that you pretty much like followed his footsteps playing drums though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
that's
she
that's really
loves it.
cool.
Yeah, big fan of it.
That's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
probably even cooler that you're a touring musician. She's probably real proud of you, man. That's
Oh
awesome,
yeah,
man.
she's always asking me about the tour schedules, and she's like, I never remember, and I'm like, I know we're here, we're there. This is what's happening.
So
Has
it's
how
the
many shows has she seen you play?
Oh, she used to come to a bunch when I was a kid, as a teenager and into my early 20s. Not so much now. You know, I've been
Yeah.
doing it so much. It's when I play home, it's very seldom.
mm,
Mm.
mm.
Yeah, and
So
plus, how old is your mom? Sorry, Jay.
yeah.
She's in her 60s now.
So going to an Orthodox show, it's I can
Yeah,
imagine my
right?
mom at a
Like,
show like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she came to the last headliner we had here in Columbus, and when I
Oh,
got
cool.
I got her a spot in the back, up on like kind of a ledge, so she got a good spot to watch all the chaos. She thought that was cool.
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. So let me ask you this, Mike. Aside from your dad, obviously, who was the first drummer where you watched them or either heard them play and went, yo, I want to do that?
For sure, probably David from Corn.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, listening to that, and I'm like, man, I want to do that. I remember like as a kid wanting to learn like clown on drums.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, dude, like the toms and stuff like that. I was like, I really want to learn how to do that. But it was so unattainable. I didn't even start taking it seriously until I was in my late teens. I didn't even get my first kid until I think like I was 16. I got my own set of drums. But like I started listening to heavy music when I was like 9.
Came out of the womb blasting Slayer, right? It's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, it was Corn right off the rip, man. It was super early.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you, Mike, as a connoisseur of drums, a bit of a left field question. What drummer, aside from yourself, do you think has the best snare sound?
The best snare sound. I really love Jake from Gideon. He can tune anything. If he watches this, he'll say no, but he's super hard on himself. But that dude can tune that he could tune a potato. It's crazy. He's so good at tuning drums. But he's yeah, top tier snare.
Okay. Okay. What do you got, Tim?
That's actually a really good question. But I want to go back to David from Corn because I feel like a lot of people don't understand how great he really is as a drummer, especially in the Corn days. That dude was so in the pocket, man. Like there's not a better drummer in the way he does that stuff that I can think of, honestly. I
Oh yeah,
mean, watch the
all that
Who Then
early
Now
stuff.
video.
Hmm.
You ever see that?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I got it downstairs, man.
I mean, I don't think people understand how good of a drummer he really was. I mean, nowadays, I don't know what happened to him. He's just super different.
I
Not
know
saying
he
anything bad about him,
I think
but
he fucked up his back, right? Because
yeah,
that's one of the
yeah, I
reasons that
think
led to
that's
him
what it
leaving
is.
Korn. He was having back problems. Yeah.
Yeah,
But like
yeah,
back in the
that
day,
was a huge
man,
role.
like holy shit, that dude was so good, man. Like
And
I really
Yeah,
think a lot of young kids listening to this really need to go back and listen to them records and just focus on the drums and you'll be blown away at how good that dude really was.
yeah, absolutely. Especially on the first record,
Oh
you
my
can really
God,
tell
yeah.
that they were all figuring stuff out on that first record.
mhm.
Yeah.
Especially David. I mean, there's little fills and stuff that like arguably can be called messy or like maybe a little thrown together, but like nobody thinks of those type of fills like he did.
Yeah.
You know, some of that stuff is so crazy. I was listening to a little bit of that at work today, so I'm glad you guys brought that up.
He actually
Especially
plays. Go on, Tim.
especially if you listen to the first Corn record in the later half of it, like Helmet in the Bush, Predictable, like
Yep.
Lies, all them tracks, all them songs have the drums are so sophisticated in them songs. Like I'll sit in my e-kit and like try and learn some of that stuff just for the hell of it. And I'm just like, holy shit, dude, like you have to really, really listen to this to figure this out.
Yeah, man. He's putting weird snare hits and weird crashes everywhere, and like, even Freak on a Leash being, later in their discography, and they're like, hold on, let's do a chorus here, but it's toms.
Right, right.
It it's dope.
He almost was a drummer playing against type because he's more of a jazz drummer if you listen to him play, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
that makes them sound the way they do. I mean, "Got the Life" that's a fucking disco song, right? That's a
yeah. That
disco
open
break,
hat, man.
which is
Yeah,
fantastic. I mean, Tim and I were just talking about Mike, the prevalence of the reggaeton beat now, like with Knock Loose did it with Suffocate, and Body
yep,
Box did it with Scanty, where there's
yeah,
that boom bap backbeat where I think that's totally underserved. People need to steal more of that stuff, right? From different genres, different sets of different ways of looking at the rhythm section is fantastic.
yeah, yeah. You bring that like world music into that,
Mm-hmm.
and like that stuff is super cool. I know like Il Nino did a lot of that stuff as well. They had a whole auxiliary percussion section. That stuff is very cool.
I'm gonna bring it back to David one more time.
Hmm.
One other point that a lot of people don't realize on them first two records, he rarely uses open hi-hats. It's like rare. It's a lot of closed hats. He
That
rarely uses double kick parts. Like,
Yeah,
and
there's
then
no
yeah.
double kick, is there?
it's
I,
crazy, dude. Like,
I don't think there's double kick on the first two records. Maybe.
yeah. Like
That-
imagine if he sat there and like really put in like open hi-hat parts and double kick parts and like he barely would like ride he would barely ride on his crash in most of them records. Like
yeah,
it's so crazy how good that dude was and it's just all them things are coming back into my head like just how good he was. But go ahead. I'll stop bringing him up.
No, you bring up a good point though. I mean, this is
no,
a guy
that's
who
awesome.
played heavy music and there was no double kick drum. Where
Yeah.
No,
nowadays it's kind of synonymous that, well, where's the blasting? You know?
Yeah.
yeah, unless you're like a punk band or a hardcore band that like uses a
Yep.
single kick, it's like nope, you got to have the blast, you got to have the double kick, and like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can do more and you can like write better fills and not better, but like fuller fills with the double kick pedal. But I don't know, there's something about playing the single kick though that's super fun.
Kind of cool. Who's the band from Philly where the drummer, it's known that he does single leg blast beats. It's Die Choking.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
purposely only plays with one foot. And I watch this guy and I'm like, he's got it, like that cartoon, I think it's Family Guy, where the one guy has the giant arm. Like
Yeah,
this guy's
yeah,
got to have like the giant leg where he's like dragging it around because it's all calf muscle and quad. But
yeah,
I
and it's funny because the playing that single footed, it's cleaner. Like if you can get it to that BPM where you can play it single, it will always like 100% of the time sound cleaner than doing it with two because your left foot if you take the two beaters and hit them at the same velocity, they still don't sound the same because they're at two different positions on that kick drum.
mm,
Yeah.
So when I always try to do a single foot, but you get gassed pretty quick, but it always sounds dope.
What don't they call it like heel to toe or something?
Well, you can do heel toe. It's just a different method of like putting your foot down. You're
Okay.
doing like toe and then the heel, and like you're kind of doing a bouncing motion. But I mean, a lot of these guys, the dude from Full of Hell, I think he does a lot of single foot.
He is
That
a
dude
dude. That
just,
dude is a lunatic.
dude, I caught him side stage at Furnace Fest, and they did like a shorter set because like the power was fucked up for that stage that day, and that dude was pissed. So he was like playing a little extra fast, smoked through it. That was like one of the most impressive drummers I've ever seen. It was insane.
Dude, the set that they just did on what is that, KEXP or
Yeah,
KEPX,
yeah,
Jay, is
KXP. Yeah,
fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, I started to
Even
watch that.
even the interviewer, like after the one song, he was like, dude, I've never seen someone hit the drums that hard and be that accurate my entire life. And he was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, gotta hit hard.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to explain it. This is what I do, man.
Yeah, he was just like, hey, yep, that's what I
and
do.
Yeah.
the wild thing about that band is when they started, they were so young. Like he was, I think, 16 or 15 when they started. Like
Oh yeah.
the Roots of Earth are consuming my home and all their really early stuff. And I know I use this word a lot, but they are one of those bands that's truly terrifying to see live because it is just it's the equivalent of taking a ball of energy and just hitting someone in the face with it
Yep.
non-stop. It
Yeah.
is something else. Truly
It doesn't
something
matter.
else.
It doesn't matter what setting it's in too.
Mm-mm.
I've seen him in like busted ass dive bars and stuff like that, and then Furnace Fest and big stages. It doesn't matter. It's the same energy every time, and it's always just scary.
It's a good word. Scary.
Yeah.
So back to your first drum set. What brand was it?
Oh, Tama.
Oh, there you go. Is that what you
Oh
still
yeah.
play?
Yes. Yeah. I play Tama, and I've got a pork pie kid, but that black kid I usually tour with, that's a Tama.
What is that? Like, what do they call it? Superstar or something?
The one that I got as a kid was a Rockstar. They
There,
had the
that's it.
Rockstar back in the 80s and 90s, and dude, it was a 9 piece. It was like midnight blue. It had 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16 toms.
Holy shit!
Jesus,
Two
Eddie Van
22.
Halen.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. And somebody modded it to where they put microphones in the toms. Like you could literally walk up to the drum and just plug in an XLR. It was something I shouldn't have had access to when I was a teenager because I didn't know what I was doing with it. But I
That
was
is
like, yeah,
wild.
big drums. I want those. And she bought them for me. She was like, yep, load them up.
You were playing the Dave Lombardo drums.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Old
hilarious.
old school.
Speaking of that,
Old
did you
school.
guys catch it? Just came out again. The interview that he did talking about when he covered for Lars at Donington. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, didn't
Mm-mm.
he say
No.
like he played
So
faster
he
intentionally or
said
something?
in practice, he said, "Oh, I wanted to see how these guys would go," and he pushed. And there's a video, Mike. I'll find it afterwards. I'll send it to you. It's a video of them. It's a cut in of it's part drum cam, part him playing. He played the first two songs of that set. They open with Battery. And James's face, because no offense to Lars, he can't play like he used to. And that
No.
double
Yeah.
kick part at the end before they go into the gallop, Dave
Yep.
Lombardo played it at full velocity. And the guitarist fell out. They fell out of rhythm because you could see James was just looking at him. At one point, Robert Trujillo just basically stops playing the bass and is staring at Dave Lombardo because the dude is going full speed and he is hitting every note. It was wild to watch.
Yeah. They hadn't heard that in years.
Yeah, right.
No, not ripping on Lars, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's
he's
Dave Lombardo. The guy he can
yeah,
still
dude. Yeah,
go.
yeah. That's all compliments to Dave. That dude was a fucking machine.
Just a monster. Just a monster.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, another historical question, Mike. Who would you consider when you think of the rhythm section, right? The bassist and the drummer. Who would you consider criminally underrated as far as a rhythm section goes? Two guys that don't get nearly the credit they should, that they really should be looked. So everybody should go back and if Mike White is president, this is what everybody's going back to listen to. Who do you think is criminally underrated?
Criminally underrated. I mean, I don't. The band in its entity gets clowned on and underrated and overlooked because they're a meme at this point. But Limp Bizkit, like John Otto, and what's their bassist name? I
Sam
can't
Rivers.
remember. Yes. Those dudes together. I was watching a video. Josh from Bather sent me, what was it? Spring Break 97.
Spring break night. It was what was that? It was spring break. It was 97 or 98. Yes, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. And what they were like playing like, what's the song in the first? Is it Stuck?
Yes.
They were doing that, and then they did like the tom like break, and they slowed it down. Those two dudes together in that band, unmatched,
It's
crazy
a
good.
it's a good call because
Yeah, but
they
that.
don't get any notice at all
Oh yeah,
because Fred is such a personality and Wes is Wes. But you're
right,
absolutely right.
exactly.
Those two are solid.
Yeah,
Solid.
because you got a guy like Wes Borland that's playing all this weird, obscure stuff in between these riffs. It gets overlooked, but it's like they are holding that down, and I think that's so fucking cool.
Tim,
I
what's your
would I would
call?
agree with that, but you're going to be very surprised at this one. But I feel like, and some people will probably call me crazy, but I feel like Igor from Sepultura days, he was super underrated. I think that dude kind of, made an entire genre. Like, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, thrash was always there, but like the way that he played in, like, like the Beneath the Remains records, all them like that's like pristine drumming, dude,
Oh
for
yeah,
back then.
oh
And
absolutely.
then, like, because if you watch Sepultura songs from like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that, there's just something that's not there. And then when you
Mm-hmm.
watch them in like Cavalier Conspiracy and stuff, when they play them songs, you're like, there it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
just the way he did them songs, dude. There's just like that's why Sepultura will always be one of the best thrash bands from back in that day.
Yeah.
It was because of Igor. That's just my opinion.
They
No,
were
that's
dialed in.
super valid. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
I
When
mean, the dude from Slipknot that used to be in Sepultura, what the hell's his name now? Who is an
Eloy.
amazing fucking drummer.
Eloy.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
is
He
a
is a
fucking
fucking
amazing drummer.
monster.
yeah, man. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched a video where it was like, I think it did a countdown of like, here's Eloy playing Eyeless, here's Jay playing Eyeless,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's Joey playing Eyeless. I don't know if you guys saw that
Yeah.
comparison video, but it was cool to see because they all play it a little bit differently, and they're all awesome drummers. But it's so cool to see like that iconic song be played, from the original and then
Mm-hmm.
the current and then the middle, and it's just cool to see that stuff.
It was a neat comparison because Jay Weinberg is almost a more slick drummer, I guess. There was some of his transition I thought were a little more polished. Where I think
Yeah.
Eloy's just trying to go head first through the fucking drums. Like it sounds like he's literally trying to murder the drum kit he's sitting behind, which
I,
is,
Yeah,
I
and he's not a small dude either.
no,
I'm
So
Eloy.
gonna I'm gonna say this right here, not to cut you guys off. Joey was the mastermind of Slipknot,
oh
right?
yeah,
His
him and Paul
drumming
wrote all their
was
music. Yeah,
I don't care what anyone says, Joey's a top five drummer, dead or alive.
Oh yeah,
Then
yeah,
Jay is the more polished, the more polished on the grid drummer, the more perfect drummer. Eloy, is that his name Eloy?
yeah,
yep.
He is just the more chaotic drummer where he just smashes that shit.
yeah.
So for
I
me, it
think
would be
it's
Joey, Eloy, then
Jay.
Jay. In my opinion, Jay's a fucking
I
great drummer. He's just a professional drummer.
Yeah.
yeah, I want to say it's kind of a return to form almost.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Jay's mindset was when he joined that band, and like I think that dude just does his own thing. Regardless, I'm not saying like he was treading lightly, but those are some big shoes to fill.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
whoever you are,
That's fair.
if you're Max Weinberg's kid or whoever, those are some big shoes to fill. So it's like I don't know what that was for the writing process for 3 records, 4 records. I don't know, but
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think it's four.
I
Yeah.
think it's 4. And then you get to Eloy, and it's like it just seems like that dude is pushing the boundaries on like what those songs can like
Mm.
portray now. He's doing extra shit that still fits somehow. Like I don't know if you guys have watched some recent videos of Scissors, but
Yeah.
he there's a whole fluid drum part in there that I mean Joey probably could have never replicated outside of that one take live anyway. And to see the shit that Eloy does is insane because he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants, and it still makes it work. But I don't think Jay could have pushed it as far as Eloy
That's
playing
fair.
like songs like that.
Yeah,
That's fair.
But
it's
that's
kind of
just
compared to Ray from Korn now. Like he's an amazing drummer, but he just doesn't have that pocket presence like David
Yeah.
did. You know what I mean?
yeah. I would agree that I would also counter that Ray's a more experienced drummer than David was.
Yeah,
I think David
absolutely.
only knew how to do that, and Ray came in arguably in a stinky era of that band. But the last two records that they've put out, David could never play anything like that. That's just my
Fair.
opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
That dude
I'll take your
smokes
word,
it.
dude.
That dude is fucking crazy live. I've seen Korn quite a few times. I've never seen him with David. I never got to, but seeing him with Ray, I was that the whole time. Loved it.
I mean,
Fair.
hey,
He kills it.
if that comes from you, I'll take it as a
Yeah, that's
yes.
somebody who would know. Who would know?
Yeah, and
When go
and
on, go
he's
on.
people think of him as the new guy. That dude's
It's been a
he's got
decade,
what,
hasn't it? It's
dude?
been a
He's yeah,
decade.
longer, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been longer than that. Like he has more records under his belt than David did. So it's like he's not like the new guy or anything.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
When I thought about who would I consider the most criminally underrated rhythm section, Henry Bogdan and John Stenier from Helmet.
Ooh.
Go back and listen to Betty. Those two dudes, I mean, not only Stenier's snare sound, right? He
Oh
had
yes.
that hitting a piece of paper's poppy snare, but
Oh
Henry
yeah.
Bogdan was criminally underrated. When they go into like Biscuits for Smut and some of that other stuff, you can hear the two what was it? The Tick. You hear the two of them. They are literally playing simpatico together. And
Oh yeah.
H. Hamilton's great, right? They've written some great music, but I really think those two guys have been forgotten. And Tim and I saw the Betty, what was it, the 20th reunion show
Yeah.
You
at
guys
World
caught it.
USA? Yeah, we
You
caught
guys.
it. It was not now they're doing like the 30th, isn't it? Is it the 30th now?
Mhm.
I
Whatever one they
forget.
did last. And it
They
was
just did a Betty tour. Yeah.
yeah, this is them 5 years later. And it was good, but that snare was missing. And for whatever reason, that the Stenier Bogdan, how he as you can tell when people joke with the bassist, right? You just find somebody coat hanger, hang a bass off it. No offense, Shiloh. You hang a bass off it and it works. That's not true. And when to your point about Sam Rivers, when they're in together, they sound great. And I just think those two guys, whenever Helmet comes up, Paige Hamilton's the first thing everybody mentions, and they forget the rhythm section that did Aftertaste, that did Unsung, that did Betty, which was just unbelievable.
I think
Well,
a lot of
and
the reason why people make fun of bassists is because it's obviously one of the easiest people to replace. But when you do have a good bassist, it totally changes a band.
yes,
Evan Brewer. Yeah.
yes, dude. It's like I've said a lot of kind things about our bassist in Bather, but like he did our first EP, and then my buddy Trey came in and joined the band and played bass. I love Trey to death, but Trey is not the bassist that John is. Playing with a bassist that writes bass parts, you do not get that a lot now.
I got you.
You don't get it.
As opposed to
Like,
a guitarist who's playing the bass, Mike? Is that the comparison?
right. Or vice versa, where like you're like, okay, this is like a bass only part, but there's not too many dudes that are writing bass parts to guitar parts. They're usually just, okay, what are you playing? And then they match it with the root notes. But like, dude, playing with John and Bather, like we're about to record this next record this upcoming week. I am so juiced to be able to hear his parts and be able to play off of them back and forth. It's a treat. Like I think a lot of drummers miss out on that, like in the metal community now. Like it's not seen too much.
100%.
I just got fed a video. I think it was on YouTube. It was Mike Flores from Origin, and he's one of those guys where he's just doing this, and you're like, what is he actually playing? Like his fingers are all over the place. Like
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All that tech death shit, like Beneath the Massacre.
Yes. It's like, what are they
it's
actually
nuts,
doing?
Dude, that's another drummer, Anthony Barone from Beneath the Massacre, and he plays. I still think he's playing for Baby Metal. That dude, the forearms on that guy are crazy.
There was something. I sent it to Tim. The video of him playing the one song off the newest album. where he's gravity blasting with both hands.
Yeah,
And you're right.
switching off.
His forearms are literally like tree trunks, and I'm like, yo,
Yep.
how does he? How do you get it that precise?
Yeah.
Him, John Longstreth, Adam Jarvis, those guys that it is literally like perfect. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah. It's
Your
just
internal metronome's got to be unbelievable.
yeah. Some people's brains are just they're wired differently, man. It's like I could never play stuff like that, but it's like I let those guys do that. I like watching it. I don't actually want to do that.
It's funny.
I think another duo that people overlook is cattle decapitation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
dude.
Yeah.
that
Yes.
that drummer is so fucking good, man. Like I forget his
Which
name. Did he freeze?
which
Oh,
record
there we go. There we
did
go.
he come in on? Can we get a fact check on
Um,
that?
I want to say
was
it
it
was before.
Monolith?
I think it was before Monolith. Let me
I
look.
think it was Harvest Floor.
I think so.
That dude is fucking sick, though.
Yeah, that guy's insane. You've
I,
seen him live, right?
I haven't actually.
What?
I don't
What?
think
It's
I
fucked up.
have.
That's terrible. He joined. Yeah, he's been with them for Dave McGraw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums, all the way back to 2009. So that was Harvest Floor. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
That's when that band like switched gear. Like something turned on in that band. Because I like Humanure and like Karma Bloody Karma. Like I like those records and like the early stuff, but they don't sound as good. They're very like gore grind for gore
Mm-hmm.
grind's
Yeah. Yep.
sake. But when they put out Harvest Floor, I was like, this is the best fucking heavy record I've ever heard in my life. When that dropped, that I burnt that bitch up. It is so good.
I think they're the best
Yeah.
modern death metal band ever.
Yeah.
Oh, there's at least top 5 of this
Yeah.
generation.
See,
Yeah.
Harvest Floor didn't stick for me. Monolith of Inhumanity did. That's the album where I was like, what is this? Same thing. Misery Index didn't work for me until Heirs to Thievery. And I went, what is this? Like
Same. I never got into that band. Never got into them.
Sadly, I love that band. Guys, if you're listening, please come on the show. But the last one seemed kind of uninspired compared to what they'd done previously. Or another band, Origin. Right now that their lineup is solidified, I could watch John Longstreth play just about fucking anything. Like I'm amazed, and he's his posture, Mike, for a non-drummer, his feet are like almost straight out, which is kind of like I watch him play. And I'm like, isn't that kind of weird? Like,
oh, he's sitting super far back from the kit.
Yeah, and his feet are like his. Yeah, there's definitely space there, and I'm looking at him like
it's arguably probably the best for your posture to sit straight up, to not sit too low, and to play a little further out. Because if you're like right on top of your feet, you're like choking up a little bit.
Okay.
But like, dude, I can't play like that. Those guys that are like super spread out and they're like zipping around the kit, I'm like, I feel like I'm fighting to get to the pedals. It's such a weird feeling.
You know, it's a good drum record is Premonitions of War, Left in Kowloon. That record has some of the sickest drum parts on it ever.
Fuck yeah.
They were an Ohio band, weren't they?
I was just going to say.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Like it's Toledo or I think it's northwest around Toledo.
Another underrated, and most people won't know this band. Well, I mean, listening to this, they do because I rave about them all the time. The first 2 E-Town Concrete records, that rhythm section in that band is fucking top notch for that genre. I mean, come on, dude.
Oh yeah,
and 2 records.
And back then when all that, all the New York hardcore and all this other shit's coming out, it's like that was so different, and to really, really tap into like the hip hop-ness of that rhythm section, super dope.
Yeah, great fucking band. Can't wait for a new record.
Yeah,
they've been poking it. They've been doing some stuff, releasing singles here and there. I would not be surprised if out of nowhere the announcement comes out on Trustkill. Right, they dropped the new album. Right, it would not surprise anybody.
Yeah, I bet it happens this year, or they announce it and then it comes out next year. I bet this year.
Wonderful. So let's get into all right. So you said you got your first kit at 16, right?
Right around, yeah.
When did you start playing in bands? Was it like right around then as well?
Yeah, it was almost immediate. I met my buddy Knox, and we started jamming
Knox
together.
in Zone Zero, right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
Knox, and he
Okay.
he does a lot of booking here in Ohio for Bravo artists, and he's drummer and bassist, of course. So we start just jamming and playing stuff together, and we did like a few like living room type projects that never, we never recorded anything, nothing ever happened. And then he joined a local band, and they had a couple practices or maybe one show or something like that. And they were like, yeah, our drummer's quitting, or they kicked him out or something. And then he asked me if I'm interested. I'm like, well, yeah, like you're doing that band thing. Like, I want to do that. So I came over to a practice. I lugged that 9-piece kit into my buddy Justin's basement. His parents were super cool about it, and it started from there.
That's awesome.
It's amazing that parents these days don't really have to deal with the loud drum shit because all you have to do is get an E kit and then like a headphone amp and just plug all your guitars in that and you could jam on headphones. How fucking
Oh yeah,
amazing is that?
yep, yep. It's perfect for drummers.
Yeah.
Drummers can just learn this stuff, and then they can go fuck off somewhere and be loud outside the house. It's
Yeah.
so dope.
Yeah,
Is there
like
is there a difference between playing an E kit and playing a full kit from a drummer's perspective? Like, is there a
oh
feel
my
difference, or
god,
like
yeah.
what? And explain it to me because I've never played drums. So
It
what's the takeaway
Well,
there?
can I do this one first because I'm not
Yes, you
that
can.
great of a drummer. When
Yeah, and I think you rip on an E kit pretty frequently, don't you?
Yeah, so
Yep.
if I haven't played a real drum kit in probably 5 years. I'm sure I could play it, but I'll tell you what, when I play an E kit, I can do shit on there that I can't do on regular drums.
Why?
And I know it's triggered and it's easier to hit, and you can set levels to where you can blast at fucking 300 BPM like no one's business.
Yeah.
It's just
The
the
synth.
feel of a real drum set. You have to be actually good to play good. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, for instance, Mike is a fucking amazing drummer. Let's be fucking honest here, dude.
Well, thank you, thank you.
I think if you were to get on my E kit, you would be like, "Holy shit!" Like, I can't. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I don't. Do you play E drums at all?
I got one time, and I hated it. Like I was
I
just gonna get it to like do rudimentary stuff and just go back to basics and just kind of learn some things again.
Yeah.
Hated it. I
All right.
sold it.
My point exactly right here. And I'm not saying that you're a bad drummer at all. But I think if you were to get on my E drums and play Orthodox songs, you would have a little bit of trouble. And vice versa, I would get on your kit and
Oh
I would
yeah,
have complete trouble playing anything I can play on there.
Interesting.
It's just
yeah,
super different because like an E kit, I can play like I can blast beat on that thing and like do crazy ass fucking fills and shit. I get on a real drum set, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like it's just super
yeah.
different.
You
Okay.
gotta you gotta control your velocity
Yeah, yep,
on both. You have to like give a lot more velocity on like an acoustic kit,
yep,
and then on an E kit, you can't just rip on them cymbals. Like you'll fuck them up, and
yep,
like shit will just come
Oh, so you got
loose
to play
because you
different. Okay.
you have to be a lot more reserved
yep.
from what I've experienced. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's like if your velocities aren't set, or if you're not velocity, the velocity is how hard it comes out on the MIDI part, but like
Yeah.
if you set your trigger too much, it'll like double hits, you'll get triple hits. Like you have to set it
Yeah.
perfectly.
You got to hone in
Interesting.
on that sensitivity. That's why,
Sensitivity,
so,
there you go.
yeah, some drummers that like go over to Europe and they're on a tour package and they have to share kits. A lot of the times you'll be touring over there and dudes will be using triggers. And I've had friends go over there for tours and they're not used to triggers and they have to play on this kit that's triggered because they keep it set up same front of house. I'm assuming for the package just to kind of streamline it. They'll be getting like double hits and
Yep.
like just fumbling over stuff. And
And so for the non-musician, Mike, when I understand a trigger is it's a microphone set up against the drum, so when you hit the head, it generates the tone that the drum would make outwards, right? So like there's a sound that
yeah,
associates with every strike. So every time I strike,
yes,
it's which is why some guys play. They sound a little clicky. Sometimes it's because that's the trigger sound that they're using. Am I correct?
Yep. Yeah. And
Okay.
a lot of these guys are doing doubles with their kicks, like they're doing like da, 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 da. And it's lighter hits that the trigger captures. And
Okay.
you can do harder hits, but you gotta hit and you gotta pull up. You can't
Because
bury that head a lot of the
the
time.
head will bounce. Okay.
Yeah, and it gets that other bounce, and it gives you a weird wonky noise. I'm very fearful of triggers. I would like to learn how to use them at some point in my career. I don't got the time to
Fuck around
dedicate
with it.
to.
Yeah.
I don't got the time for it. It's you know.
And the understanding I always had, could be wrong, was the guys that play at velocity, full speed, right, with double kicks. The trigger helps because when the first beater hits the head will bounce inwards, and there's a resonance that comes back out, which is the sound. But if you're moving too fast, the head can't resonate fast enough. So you're kind of like beating it to death. So the trigger will pick up on each individual hammer hit and then sound off. Is that am I
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's why a lot of these guys that use triggers, they'll stuff the kick drum full of pillows. So they'll deaden it. So they'll tighten it real tight and then they'll put a bunch of pillows in there. So it's just like you're slapping a tabletop almost.
Okay. Okay.
It just keeps it
So the
so
resonance
tight.
there. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just gets that pulse from when you hit it and you're not getting all the waviness from that head. So it's just real straight.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or let's just put it this way, Jay. I could play demanufacture on my E kit if I got on Mike's kit. Not even a fucking chance.
Slop. It would just be slop. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's almost a technological advancement to help for the drummers to play at speed because the otherwise, I mean, what's if you were trying to play something that was that fast without triggers, how would you do it? Do you need two separate drums? And even then, would that work? Like
It helps
how?
it helps to get like, a good front of house and know how to tune the drums and like it all boils down to you have to learn how to play that shit just clean. And you have
Okay.
to, there's a point you cannot go that fast and play it acoustically without triggers because it won't really sound like anything.
Gotcha.
The
Gotcha.
hits are there. If you put your ear down to it, like you can hear it and the guys are actually playing it. The hits are there, but it's not
It's just muddy. It's muddy to the ear. Okay.
right. Yeah, the mic's not going to pick it up correctly. It's just going to sound quiet.
Speaking of a guy playing live and killing it, I don't know what his name is, but the drummer from Whitechapel. I
Mm.
just saw that tour, and
Yes, I
there
don't know his
is
name.
there is something to be said about a band whose lineup has stayed steady for around 20 years. They came out and they were literally consummate professionals. Like they went right into it and they sounded perfect. And they made a couple of, improvisations and a little bit of arrangement differences so you can tell it's not played to a track like it's them actually playing live. But I literally sat in the back with my mouth open for half that set. Like, holy shit, like Phil Bozeman's been singing that shit for 20 years, and he
Yeah, dude.
sounds just as good as, the Saw is the Law. He sounds just as good as the first stuff, which is,
Yeah, dude.
I was impressed.
That band has it. Out of all the deathcore bands that are
Mm-hmm.
around still doing it, like they are still top three. Like I saw, I didn't get to watch too much of their set at the Lorna Shore headliner with
Mm-hmm.
Sangusugabog and
Yep.
Kulikan. And dude, I like caught a little bit of it, and I'm like, dude, this band is. On top of that, we played with them a couple years ago out in Knoxville, and I'm watching from the back of the room, new songs, old songs, crushing it the entire
Yeah.
time. And that was their headline Christmas set. So it was like a little bit extra long. I can't remember if they played, I think it was a mix of The Valley and Kin. Like they
Okay.
played a lot of those records, but I don't know if they played them in entirety, but dude, that band is just perfect live.
I
And
was
the
blown
new stuff
away.
is incredible. The new stuff that
Yeah.
they put out, wild.
And
I
speaking
I
of the
think a lot
openers,
of
go on, Tim.
I'm sorry. I think a lot of bands like Lorna Shore and stuff, like a lot of that kick stuff is sample based, so like it sounds like perfect live.
Yeah, yeah,
Would you
absolutely.
agree with that?
Oh yeah, Austin uses triggers, and it's all
Okay.
samples.
Okay. That's and
Yeah,
that's what I figured. Okay.
yeah,
I,
just to get that perfect sound
yeah.
in front of house. He probably has programmed his own.
Yeah.
It might be his drums. I'm not. I don't want to speak for him, but Yeah, it's all sample
Uh,
just to get it as perfect as possible.
Speaking of Mike's hometown heroes, right? 200 Stab Wounds was on that tour as openers, right? Another
Yeah.
Ohio band. They were, again, they're one of those bands that every time I see them, Frozen Soul, Undeath, that whole band of people bringing that, I would say, hardcore influenced metal, thrashy stuff. Every
Oh
time I
yeah.
see those bands, they get better and better and better because they're on the road nonstop. And it shows in the professionalism. It
Yep.
really
That
shows.
that band, 200 Stab Wounds specifically, they're ass busters. They did a few of their first out of state shows. I want to say when we did that tour with the Acacia Strain, they were on a few of those shows, and they were good. But to see them now, it's like, okay, you guys are seasoned. You guys have done the studio thing. You guys have done the fest thing. You guys have done the tour thing. Like, you guys sit real nice in your lane. Like, that band is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
they
amazing how many
sounded
people.
so good.
It's amazing how many people say that band sucks. I'm like, what the fuck are you
Dude, what are
listening
you
to?
listening to, idiot?
Yeah, like when people say like bands like that suck, it's like it's just not your type of death metal.
Exactly.
Like
There you
like
go.
I get it. Like, oh, Sanguisugabog sucks. It's like it doesn't. Like, those are some of the best death metal musicians to have ever come out of Central Ohio. Period. You just don't like it because it's kind of goofy.
Yeah,
Like, that's all it
exactly.
is.
We,
Like, that
we
that
yeah.
that band is awesome.
We
It's
had
just
Devin on. He was the nicest dude. Like we keep meaning to get him back on to talk about Soundgarden. He's a big Soundgarden fan apparently. But like
I believe it.
nice nice dudes. Like I will tell you, Mike, I told Tim this story when I went out to Psycho Las Vegas the last year they did it. Sanguisugabog opened and they were in the room that looked out over Las Vegas and the whoever the promoter never shut the curtains. So it's 11 a.m. on a Friday and I'm watching Sanguisugabog playing, dead as shit with Las Vegas sunlight in the background and I'm like this is surreal. Like awesome but totally surreal. Like never
That's
would have
that's
had that on my
honestly fucking
lifetime
sick.
ticket card. It was awesome, and the big Vegas sign was in the
Yeah.
back. Like it was awesome.
I think organic shit like that is so cool when you see like a mistake like that, and it's like, oh, like they should have had the curtain down, and it's like, no, that's what made it cool.
Yeah.
I just saw it was last year. I saw Clutch with Rival Sons and Fu Manchu, and it was real windy. Clutch usually has a backdrop, and this was up in Cleveland. I believe it was on like a riverfront somewhere, or it might have been Cincinnati, one of the two. And they didn't put it up, so it was just the skyline behind them playing. And they don't play to tracks. It's just a rock band. They just go out and rip it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the coolest thing. But just having nothing,
Yeah.
no backdrop, no band name, nothing, and they're playing the amphitheater like that. That's so cool.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
One
They're
one
another
band I could
band
never
that
get into.
I it's not for everybody. If you like the groove, like I always looked at Clutch as I discovered Clutch at the same time I discovered Caius. So I always put
That's
Clutch
fair.
as the radio friendly, more digestible, not Sonar and Desert Sound, but in the same vein, like less fuzzed out Fu Man. They're not as fuzzed out as Fu Manchu, right? Some of that other stuff. I don't know. I think the first was a Transnational Speedway League. Is that the first
Yeah.
one? And
Yep.
then
Transnational Speedway League.
and then it was the self-titled, and then it was the one with the
Elephant
elephants on the
Riders.
cover, Elephant Riders.
Yep.
Dude, Tim, they got some tracks, dude. It's not for everybody, but they got some tracks. I saw them open for Limp Bizkit, and people were booing them because it was all kids, and it was the Ladies' Night in Cambodia tour. So it's like people are there to see Limp Bizkit and Fred Durst be kind of an idiot. Like Clutch comes out and they actually get into a groove, and people were like,
Yeah, dude.
what are we watching?"
That's literally like my favorite band of all time. Like, they're incredible.
Yeah, they're awesome. And they do a lot of they change arrangements. They do a lot of medleys. We'll go from song to song to song. To me, that is the true test of an awesome artist when they can take their own catalog and kind of put it in a blender and say, all right, we're gonna fuck with this. Let's change the tempo of this one. We'll rearrange this one. Maybe we'll play this in a different key. Like that's where I'm like, yo, these are guys who are or guys and gals, right, who are really getting into their craft and hey, how do we take this thing we've already done and make it weird?
It's unmatched, dude. And that's a rhythm section, dude. JP and Dan Maines
Yeah,
fucked up. They're
yeah.
so good. He's one of the best drummers of all time, in my opinion.
A bunch of my buddies are like super into that band, and they
Hmm.
literally go to every fucking Philly show. I just could never get into them, and they're always like, "You're a fucking asshole." Like, just listen to it. I'm like, I tried. There's just something about it. I just can't get into. Not talking shit
It's
on them
fair.
at all.
It's
I
just not
No,
your
just,
no,
you
no,
thing.
know,
no, no. That's one of the bands. It's like them, System of a Down,
yeah.
bands like that people are like, I can't stand it. I get it. Yeah,
Like you
it's a
said,
little
Mike,
weird.
it's just not your type of X, right? Like, but
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
your
get the
type.
200 stab wounds hate because they sound like basically they're resuscitating the Sepultura Beneath the Remains sound. That's the
Oh
thrash
yeah.
that they play, which is the best part, right? And
Yep.
yeah,
I listened to an album review on YouTube when that new record came out, and some dude just shit on it for 10 minutes. He's like, listen to these riffs. These are just fucking bullshit riffs that any kid could write. I'm like, that's the fucking point of it, dude. It's death metal.
uh,
It's
Yes.
fucking fun death metal with groovy parts in it. Like, what are you talking about? They're not trying to be Rivers of Nile here. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, what the fuck are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Go listen to your fart sniffing death metal if you don't want this type.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
like they're not trying to be Cannibal Corpse. I mean, it's more on the Cannibal Corpse level than fucking Suffocation. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to
Mm-hmm.
hear Suffocation, you go listen to Suffocation.
Uh, I forget the guy's name, and I probably shouldn't. The lead singer guitarist for Skeletal Remains.
Yeah.
He was interviewed about the music that they play, and he's like, yo, I play music that I want to listen to. Like I fucking love Bolt Thrower. I want to sound like Bolt Thrower. Like, why would you get mad at me for playing music that sounds exactly like the shit I like to listen to? Like,
Yeah.
this is one of my favorite bands. When you tell me you sound just like them, I'm like, well, cool, because that's what I was going for.
right. Yeah, when people get all worried about their influences, they're like, they sound too much like this. And it's like, yeah, because that's probably what they've listened to, you fucking dorks. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
Beef, beef. I think we should get back into your touring life and drum life before we just keep talking about death metal. Honestly, I mean, I'll talk about anything, but
Oh, I'll
So,
talk shit about anything for
so
for anything.
how did the last tour go, Mike? And it was
Tor-
who you guys with? You just went out with
it
who?
was it was us and Comeback Kid
Okay.
was the main stretch, but we kind of swapped out the direct. So we started up in Winnipeg with Cancer Bats.
Okay.
They did
dude,
a few
that's a
shows. They
fucking
stopped.
great band.
Oh yeah, dude, that that rhythm section. Sorry to keep bringing it back, but those dudes in that band, awesome, fucking crazy. They're so good.
That first record is I when that first came out, I was like, holy shit, this is good. And it's really not my
I
style
can't
of
remember the
music, but
last
it's
time I've
good,
listened
man.
to it. I really can't.
Oh, oh, they're weird. They're so weird, but it's awesome. And then after they dropped off, we went to Boston and we picked up Defeater. Three
Okay.
shows. So Defeater in Boston, wild. That that was incredible. And the drummer that they had was his name's David, and he plays for Pianos Become the Teeth.
Okay.
Jeez, that's another band I
It
haven't heard of in ages.
Oh, dude, that guy smoked those parts. It was so cool to watch that dude rip on Defeater songs. And then we went down to Florida after that for one show. We played with Evergreen Terrace,
Ooh.
and then we went out to Texas, and that band from L.A., Desmadre, jumped on.
I actually
Another
like some of the
another
stuff I've heard from them. I really do.
That band is great. They're so cool. Um, New metal dudes. They started talking to Adam about System of a Down,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, you started some shit, dude. Oh, he was standing at the merch table for probably 45 minutes talking to him. I'm like, I'm gonna leave you guys alone.
I think they covered Prison Song when they played Sound and Fury. I think that was them. Somebody covered System of a Down because I
I
remember going,
I
"Holy shit!"
Yep, they did. They crushed it.
So let's
But
talk
yeah,
about the new album, dude. Let's talk about the new album. So I think that this is definitely the hardest shit you guys have done. It truly
Thank you.
based on just the singles alone, not some of the stuff that Adam has played for Tim and I. This is the
Mhm.
hardest shit you guys have done, which is, I mean, Tim, what other word would I use to describe it? Because Adam played it for us, and we sat here giggling what we did
Yeah,
here.
I was impressed, man. Like especially with his voice, the way his voice has progressed on these records is just fucking unbelievable, man.
Yeah, he stepped it up immensely. I remember one of the first songs he tracked is a song on the record called "Step Inside," and we kind of just looked around the room and we're like, "What?" Like just laughed. We were just laughing. Like, are you kidding me?
That's
He
awesome.
hits a range that's a little higher than he normally does, and it's just got this grit to it, and it's very Corey Taylor esque. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know where you pulled this from. And then everything else he pulled out of his ass got better or like different after that. Like he just kept doing different weird stuff, and like the lyrics on the record are awesome. His patterns are crazy. It's impressive. Like he
Grit is
smashed
a
this
good
record.
word because he has a grit to his voice, which I'm sorry, he's now running against I always swore that what's his name from Boundaries, Matt from Boundaries. I'm pretty sure that dude gargles a cheese grater when he's not on stage because the way his voice comes across, Adam gets damn close to that abrasiveness. You know what I mean? Like that
Oh yeah,
like dragging hands down sandpaper type roughness to his voice. I think it sounds fantastic. I think all musically
yeah,
all the stuff sounds fantastic. Like
yeah.
stoked.
Matt's voice is also crazy. I mean, he lends his voice to us on a track on the record as well, and hearing
Awesome.
those two back to back, very cool.
That's really cool. It's really cool. So, so you guys, it comes out in June, right? And then you go
June
out
6th.
with it's what Mugshot, Omerta, and From Joy. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Which
Yep.
is a
You got it,
hell of an opening lineup. Tim and I love that From Joy album.
Oh,
That
it's
came
fucking
out
dude.
out of
phenomenal.
nowhere. We were like, "Yo," we were texting each other literally at the same time. "Yo, did you hear this? This is kind of bananas. Did you hear this? It's great."
Yeah, dude. I saw them for the first time. They were on the Chamber headliner last year, and I was like, this is crazy. Like you
Mhm.
guys are freaks. So hearing that band play with Chamber was hilarious because it's
Yeah.
just annoying guitar music all night. It's so sick.
No, that
I'm
last album was under the radar, and did not show up. I don't think it showed up in my top 10 that year, but I have gone back to it so often, that Chamber album, because I just think it's perfectly put together. It's perfectly put
Oh
together.
yeah, insane. Those
I
guys are.
I caught Chamber with you guys by myself one night. I think it was with you guys. But anyway, I was watching Chamber one night by myself and I was just fucking floored. Like I was looking around like no I knew nobody there and I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like
Yeah,
this
dude.
band is so ridiculously talented. Like I just couldn't even believe how good they were.
It's frustrating. That band is fucking insane.
Like
Watching Tay play drums,
I'm just
wild.
standing there. I got a beer in my hand. I'm just like I'm not even impressed with the beer. Fuck the beer. I cannot believe
Yeah.
what's going on right now.
Yeah,
And
Those
like
you,
moments where you're looking around like, am I the only one experiencing this in
it
this
was
yeah,
way?
fucking
Like, yes,
crazy, dude.
yeah.
yeah. You look at them and you're like, can they do that? Are they allowed to do that shit? Yeah.
First time I saw Revocation, I never really listened to them. I had no idea what they sounded like. And funnily enough, it was Cat of the Cap, Revocation, Full of Hell, and Artificial Brain. And they came out and they opened with that song off the Scion EP, Terratrogenesis. I think it was the dun, 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 and I'm literally standing there with a beer in my hand. Yo, what the fuck? Like Dave Davidson, right? I could watch that dude play fucking anything on guitar. Like I am, he makes it look like he's not even trying,
Yeah.
and he's flying up that fretboard. It's like, God bless him, Jesus.
That's so wild. Yeah,
There's
it's
there's
always
certain
cool.
there's certain people like him that makes me want to just quit playing anything music wise.
It's so cool seeing a band organically like that too, where you didn't know what they sounded like, and you don't know nothing. You have no pre knowledge of the band, and you go and see them. To see a band live, that's a special feeling.
Yeah,
It doesn't happen too much because you can listen to anything at any time, and to go to a live show and you see a band you've never heard of or never seen, and you experience it right in front of you, that that's special.
it's
Like I
wild.
love when that and like I said, it doesn't happen too much, but when it does happen, it's like
It's
this is what it's
magic.
meant to be.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
magic.
super
I'm
cool.
glad. I'm glad I remembered this, and it just came to my head. I remember you put out. I don't remember if it was a full cover, but you did a 36 Crazy Fist song. The fuck was it? Did you do a
Uh,
full cover, or was it just an Instagram like reel?
yeah, it was a full cover. I might have done a snippet on there, but it was the end of August.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude,
Yep,
how good are the
dude,
drums on that record?
dude. I think Thomas Noonan is like an incredible drummer. He doesn't play
Yeah,
drums and he's not in the band anymore. Like they're not a band anymore, but that dude, those records from the first one up until Collisions and Castaways,
yeah,
he writes some of the coolest drum parts.
yep.
And like I really hold that guy to like a high regard as a drummer. Like as my top 10 favorite drummers, like that dude, incredible. The production of the drums on that record, there's just like
Phenomenal.
this tightness to them. Everything is so tight and everything is so crystal clear. And like it's meant to be that dude singing and those drums
Yeah.
on that record. The riffs are cool, they're great, but it's supposed to be drums and vocals for sure.
Mm.
I've told Jay a million times to check that band out because I think he's really missing out on some really good records,
We
man.
the deep dive that we did, I remember them coming out. I just never remember digging into it, and they're up there with that Nothing Face album that we deep dove with Jordan, where I
Yeah.
go back and
Oh,
listen
okay,
to it
yeah,
all the time. It's just albums that I had never heard, and I went back and listened to it, and I'm like, the second Crazy Town album. I go
Yeah.
back to
yeah,
that shit all the time. That's one of those things I found from this show where I'm like, never in a million years I've thought I'm listening to it now, but yeah, there's some good stuff out there. It's there's so much, so
What's the
much.
record
it,
after a snow-capped romance? Is it it's got like the match on the cover. What the fuck is that called? That record, the drumming on
it's
that record is phenomenal as well.
yeah, that record, man. What's that record called?
Oh
It
man.
is drum roll, please. Oh, I don't care about your
I could
cookies.
think of all the songs.
Rest Inside the Flames. Is that
Rest
it?
Inside the
There
Flames,
you
that's
go.
it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Amazing
dude. That
record, man.
oh man, that's the track two. Fell through the phone line.
Oh yeah.
That and that record is so cool because it's not as heavy as the other ones. They've got one like heavier song on there that's it's called Elysium, and it's got Howard Jones on it.
Yeah.
Song is dope, but like all the other songs on the record are just like super chorus heavy, super no distortion on guitar to make like kind of light like picking riffs, but it's a dope ass record. I love
Yeah.
that record.
Are you familiar with 12 Tribes?
I'm not. No, it's I know the dude that was in that band did the guest vocal on
Aurora?
was it Aurora or was it because he also did guest vocals on the following record.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's been on like three of them in a row. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he did guest vocals on Aurora. But yeah,
Was it a
they're an Ohio band, I believe, as well. 12
I
Tribes.
think they're from the Dayton area,
Okay,
which is
yeah,
like an hour from me.
They
Yeah.
were one of those bands that just for whatever reason never really hit. Like they were doing something kind of different, and for whatever reason it never really. Because I remember they were being pushed really hard. It was the same. That album came out at the same time as of Malice and the Magnum Heart
yeah,
and
yeah.
Funeral
Yeah.
of
Last Night in
God.
Town, yeah,
Yeah, Last Night in Town. All that stuff all came out at the same time, and if for whatever reason it never translated.
Yeah, I know a lot of bands liked that band. Like obviously 36 Crazy Fists, they were like they had to have their guy on like multiple songs like Tim was saying. But yeah, never hit for me.
one more amazing drummer is dude from Seven Dust. I mean, you just can't
Yes.
say
Yo, you
anything
know
bad about
what?
him.
That there's first of all, there's so many great new metal pages on Instagram. It makes it fun to actually pull up Instagram sometimes. But I just
Oh
came
yeah.
across it was them playing on it might have been Conan or something, but he is Morgan Rose, right? That's the drummer.
Yeah,
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 That's it.
yep.
Yep.
he's not just a drummer. He's actually a showman because he's putting on a show back
Oh
there as
yeah,
he's playing, and he's still like it's. I think it would be easy for someone to concentrate so much on the flair and the movement to actually lose the song. He doesn't lose the song. He sounds unbelievable.
it's hard to do. You see a lot of dudes on Instagram put a lot of work into looking cool. Man, I can see right through that shit.
Slop. Yeah, then they play live and it's like, Jesus, what is that?
Clowns, man.
There's a I'm not going to narc out the band, but there is a kind of well respected brutal death metal band from New Jersey that the one time I saw them, I almost threw my drink at the stage because the drummer was so terrible. I was half drunk and my buddy Dom was sitting next to me. I'm like, yo, I should go up there and play fucking drums. This guy's trash because
I,
it was just the sloppiest thing I'd ever heard. It was so
I know who
bad.
you're talking about. I won't say it though.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah,
so bad. I'm like, Jesus, come on, man, get some pride. And it was like a reunion show, whatever.
Need to practice,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, you definitely need to practice. So, Mike, I'm assuming, so you guys aren't coming through Philly on the run. I'm assuming it's a radius clause from the last show you just did. I'm assuming.
I think so. Yes.
Because as soon as it came out, I said to Tim, I said, "There's no Philly because they just did Philly with Comeback Kids." So it's and
Yeah.
how long does that like from somebody who doesn't understand that? I understand the point is, hey, the promoter's promoting the show. You don't. They might not. The people might not turn out if they know you're coming back in however many days. Radius clauses. How long is that for? You can't come back in the area for what is it? 90 days, Mike? 180 days? Like
It,
what's the timeline on those things?
it all varies
Okay.
by how big the act is and how big the festival is. Because I
Okay.
think like all the Danny Wimmer stuff, like Sonic Temple, Louder Than Life, those big fests. I think the radius clause is larger than a normal tour package would be.
Okay.
So like if you already have that booked and you go on tour, like it can't be within, let's say, 90 or 160 days or something like that. But if
Jesus.
you're a smaller, sometimes it'll be like 60 days or 30 days or something like that. Like
Gotcha.
it,
Gotcha. The
it all
big name
depends.
bands have a longer tail because they can draw. Yeah.
Yeah, the guarantees are so much. There's so much riding on it. And they need that attendance to be like on every time.
I have never attended one of those. Have either of you guys like one of those big like Rocklahoma, Louder Than Life, like Sonic Temple, Aftershock? And have you ever any attended those, Mike?
Yeah, let's because Sonic Temple is here at
Okay.
at the Crew Stadium. Well, the old Crew Stadium for our soccer team. And if I'm ever home, which the last 3 or 4 years I haven't been, I love to go. It's fun. Me and a couple buddies go. I like going and just hanging out, just
Yeah.
people watching,
And
just watching all the
there's what? How
weirdos,
many
man.
stages? 4, 5 stages? Like that's how do they set that up? Like I can't
Yeah,
even.
those. Well, like at Sonic Temple, they'll do like a stage on one side of the stadium, like out
Mhm.
in the parking lot. They'll do the stadium, which is the main stage, and then they'll do another one in the other parking lot. Sometimes they'll do a side stage that'll be like acoustic or comedy acts,
Okay.
and they alternate. I think usually a side stage and main stage will be going on at the same time, and then they'll swap, like they'll just rotate it
Gotcha.
all day.
Gotcha.
I've seen some cool shows at Sonic Temple. I saw Gojira almost got rained out. Like Red Fang got rained out, so they had to stop their set, and they were sending people home and all this stuff because they thought there was going to be a tornado because it's in
Jesus.
spring. But Gojira almost got rained out. They packed up their whole light rig, they packed up most all their shit, and then they were like, "No, we can play." They ran up there, no light rig, no nothing, ripped it, and it was
Oh, they
one of the
probably
cool,
crushed it. Yeah.
crushed it. No light rig, none of that extra bullshit, and that was super cool to see because like that band, I love that band, and to watch that at like a big festival, but it wasn't like their lights and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Super cool, but that was fun. That was the first time I saw System was at
Okay.
Sonic Temple. That was incredible. Adam was there with me. He came up for that.
So, all right, let's get back into your touring thing here because I'm interested in what you say about this. When what I don't and don't kill me. I just don't remember. What have you been in Orthodox the whole time? What
No,
record did you come on?
let it take its course. The
That's right.
second one.
Okay.
Yeah,
When you
Adam
s-
played drums on the first one.
that's okay, that's what I thought. When you
Yep.
started playing live with Orthodox until now, how has your drumming improved, and how have you what do you play differently now? Like when you first started playing with Orthodox, like you went on the road, like was your kit like smaller than it is now? Is it big? Like what have you changed from Let It Take Its Course to now? What's the new record called again? A Door Left Open?
Yeah.
A door left open. Yep.
There you go. Okay.
So when I first started playing with Orthodox, it was I think it was 2017. It was
Okay.
on the Blessed by the Burn tour for Left Behind, and Adam asked me to fill in. I was like, cool. I like your band. I'll go. I'm straight edge. Let's rip it.
So you were
And
at that show at the Fire in Philly. I was at that meet.
yep,
Yeah,
yeah,
Adam always jokes. He's like, it was like 12 people there, but yeah, it was a good time. But yeah,
yeah,
Jesus,
it was a fun show. It was not a good turnout.
mm-mm.
It was a matinee, wasn't it?
It was an early show. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is like that's a Philly thing.
I, dude, the Philly scene is we could talk about that a long time. Shit has changed and it warps me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and
it was an early show. I remember. Yeah.
anyway, yeah, started on 2017, just filling in, and then we did a headliner in 2018 with I Am and Chamber. That was Chamber's first tour, and he asked me a week before that. He was like, "Hey, do you just want to like join the band?" And I was like, "Yeah." After the tour, you're still. I was like, "You're still paying me for this, but I'll join." And like back then, I was just trying to play everything exactly like the record, and we would like do some tempo movements and stuff like that because we didn't play to click or anything. Uh, and over the years, I've added a few symbols here and there, and my playing style ever since Austin joined and wrote "Learning to Dissolve," my playing has just improved so much because I was forced to learn these things that
Mm.
I would have not written before, and like drum fills and like certain things I wouldn't have thought about that Austin would program, and he'd be like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking." I'm like, "Damn, this is sick. Now I got to learn it."
So in turn, he has made you a way better drummer than you think you were.
Oh, absolutely, but don't ever tell him that.
Well, I would think it's the equivalent of like an athlete playing with an all-star, right? They
Yeah.
force you to get better because you want to be on their level, right? To help and
Oh, absolutely.
your skills, your own skills develop.
You know, all jokes aside, but anything that kid touches and that he puts time and effort into, he'll naturally get and he'll excel at it. So he is an incredible musician. Like if he dropped guitar and like bought a drum set and started playing, he could play for Meshuggah. Like
Wow.
he's that good at whatever he puts his brain to. So like having him
That's a
write,
huge fucking compliment, man.
Mm-hmm.
oh, he's incredible. And when you put somebody like that behind the computer, and then in turn with a producer and engineer and somebody like Randy out in New Jersey who we record with, that is hell for me because those guys put me through an onslaught for learning to dissolve because like when I say Randy's like one of the best people I've ever worked with, like he pushes you beyond what you think you're capable of, and he humbles you very quick, which is awesome. That was one of the things I've learned over the last 4 years is just you got to be humble in this industry. You got to like really buckle down and learn this stuff and put
Mm.
the effort in, which is awesome.
Yeah, because there's somebody just as hungry coming up behind you, right? So if you don't put the effort in, they're gonna catch you and then
Always,
they'll pass you. Yeah.
always. And like I'm not in my 20s anymore. You know, I'm getting older. I have more challenges when it comes to certain things on the drums that I didn't used to, you know, 6 years ago, that I'm running into issues where it's like, damn, why isn't this happening the way it used to, or why is this harder? And it's like, well, it's because you're in your fucking 30s now and you work a physical labor job, and maybe you need to go to the gym more.
Let me ask you this: have you been straight edge your entire life?
I started being edge when I was around like 16 or 17.
All right, so you've pretty much what you've been drunk like once or something, some dumb shit
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Enough to be like, it's not for me.
Let me ask you this. Since you tour so much, and I'm sure you don't always tour at all straight edge bands, do you see a difference in a drummer who drinks on stage or drinks as, socially compared to someone who doesn't? Like,
It's a good question.
do you think, like, if you were partaking in, like, say, alcohol or something, do you think your stamina and all that would be completely different than what it is right now? Like, do you think that lends a hand to, like, how good a drummer is and all that kind of stuff? Because, like, when I used to play in bands, if I had like 4 beers, I felt like I played better. You know what I mean?
It,
It's just like maybe it's a hard question for you to answer because you don't indulge, but like, how do you think, like, just touring? Do you see like drummers that like suffer because they
They drink too much.
indulge
They
a lot?
party. Yeah.
I think, yes, I've seen a lot of drummers just like play like shit because they're too drunk.
Yeah,
But if you stay within your lane, because I don't want to say a lot of drummers or musicians drink or smoke to get over certain things and to like segue them through the set easier. But it does help from what I've
yeah,
seen from some people. Like if you're anxious, if you're super anxious going on stage, if you smoke a little bit or take a gummy or whatever, have a few drinks, and it breaks that mental wall down that
Mm.
I suffer from a lot. I suffer from getting in my own way, and I wouldn't say it's stage fright. More, it's more like an adrenaline dump.
Mm.
If you've ever had, you know what I'm talking about when you
Yeah.
have an adrenaline dump and your body like kind of shakes
shakes. Yep.
and it kind of like does it. When I go on stage and I have it happens quite frequently. I'll have an adrenaline dump and I will play the first couple songs like not as well as I think I could, and
Mm.
then by the break I really have to like gather myself. So I've thought about trying to like take different supplements or whether it's like what is it ashwagandha and stuff like that
Yeah.
to just bring myself down, and I try to stretch as much as I can, but you know I'm not I'm not really thinking that having a couple drinks before makes people play worse ever. It's a lot of the mental thing. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Gotcha. I mean,
it
not everybody
brings
is Dimebag who's hammered and they just stand him up and they stick a guitar on him and he just goes and he just nails it, right? He gets better as he sobers up as the evening goes on.
or right, and it's like it's the same with like taking your buddy to a party and he's not very social, but you get a couple drinks in him and he's talking. It's
Yeah.
because it breaks down that wall and it's just it makes you looser.
I never thought that's a good point. I never thought about that until when I got to talk to Mike and Adam when they were out at Christmas Burns Red, and I remember you turned. Even my buddy Troy still talks about it, Mike. When you said, "Yeah, I sat behind the kit and I looked out and I went, holy shit, that is a lot of people."
Oh yeah, and I just try to when that happens or I'm like having a bad night, I try to ground myself and I try to look down and I'll look at like everybody who's there with me. Whether that's Shiloh, Ben, Adam, Austin, whoever, or if it's my friend's side stage, I'll try to make eye contact and just be like, this is all that matters.
It's
Like,
awesome.
of course, all of those people is why that's there. Like at Christmas Burns Red, I'm like, we got to impress these people. I want these people to listen to my band. I want to sell merch, but like, this is for me and the boys.
Yeah, yeah. And you
Like,
guys, I mean, you
I'm,
guys sounded unbelievable. I mean, I
oh, dude, it was
this was one of the better ones I've been to, and the lineup was solid. I mean, it was
great lineup.
yeah.
And
You,
I
I mean,
think Body Snatcher played the day before, and like
yep.
those are some of our good friends, and it was a great weekend for everybody. Everybody had a blast.
Tim, you got to go with us next year, dude. You got to go.
Hopefully the lineup's great. I'll
We
tell you what, we'll get back to that. But I seen a picture from you guys from in back of you at Furnace Fest the first time you guys played it, and I was nervous looking at how many people were there, and I wasn't even fucking playing.
Dude, it was at like noon.
That dude, what last time we had Adam on, I was like, Adam, like, were you nervous at that show? He was like, nah. But I was like, dude, it looked like there was 15 fucking thousand people there, and he was like, yeah, it probably was.
Dude, I was so fucking nervous because it was Friday, so it was day one. So I'm like, well, are people going to be late because they're
Yeah.
coming to the fest?
Hmm.
We were third. I want to say we were third or fourth, one of the two. And we go up on stage. I was like, shit. Like I was stoked, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, dude, I was like, holy shit, dude. That had
It's
to be
wild.
at least 15,000. It looked like 15,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was. I think cap under there is like 2,000 or 2,500
Oh, that's
under
it.
there. Well, and the thing about it is it has that incline to it, which is awesome
Oh, okay.
for all the old heads.
Right.
You
We
get
can
to stand.
stand in the back and rest our knees. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's sick. You're standing on a slope, but everybody can see everything going on, which is I love that about the shed. It's super cool.
I'll tell you what, though, when I seen that picture, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ,
Yeah. It's
dude.
a lot of
Yeah, dude.
people. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think the
man.
most people I played for is like 200 at like the Troc one night. And like, I was just like, whatever. But like, dude,
That is something else.
33,000 people. I don't know if I don't know what I would do.
Dude, it's a weird feeling. It's
I
so
mean,
weird.
and I was playing guitar at that time, but like drums never really bothered me because like I feel like as a drummer, and maybe you can answer this too. I feel like as a drummer, you get in like your own lane and like the kit is basically what you have to focus on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Like when I'm looking down and I'm trying to like create that barrier, it's like I've got these drums and these cymbals between me and the crowd.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I don't know how Adam does it. He has no barrier. He has people literally touching him, literally running
Oh
into him,
man.
stage diving, and it's like, stay
Mm.
the fuck away from me.
Hmm.
I'll stay way back here.
Yeah.
Swinging sticks at him. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a different. I can't imagine. Like I can't imagine. You know what? The last time we had Adam on, Mike, we talked a lot about like the logistics and what touring life is like. And talking to him really made me think about it. You guys spend all these hours in a car. You spend all these in a van to do setup, to sound check, to wait, to
Yep.
play 35 minutes, to
Oh yeah.
break it all down, to get it all back in the car, to go to the next place. And it's like, I don't, God bless you, but I don't know how anybody stays sane. And you're stuck with the same people in this little van for God knows how long, weeks at a time. I don't know how you do it.
Look, I mean, luckily for me, the worst part for me is waiting, and I don't mind the driving. I like driving. I like physical labor. I like the loading in. I like the setting up. I like the doing things, like doing things. If my body's in motion, I'm pretty content with that. But when it's like, okay, sound check is done, everything's packed. Now you got to wait for doors. Fuck
Mm,
that. I, I'm I'm walking somewhere. I'm like, because I'll just sit there on my phone, and it's like, God damn, like
yeah.
I'd rather be doing something. I'll find myself cleaning the van like a week or two into tour. I'm like, I gotta do something. I'm gonna clean this whole fucking van.
It's funny you say that because if I was a touring musician, I'm the same as you. Like, I like the physical part where I'm setting it up and like, oh, maybe I could set it up differently here, blah blah blah. But like the whole waiting thing for me as well, it would drive me nuts. And then you know what I would do because I do drink. I would just be like, let's have a beer. You know what I mean? And then
Oh
that
yeah,
turns into,
Yeah.
I think that's the ruin of a lot of bands when they tour. It's like the guitar player comes out 20 pounds heavier and he's just like he looks like shit, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, I was drinking for fucking 43 days straight, so
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
it's no surprise that you hear of like Jamie Josta and Randy Blythe and all these guys who are like, yeah, I don't drink anymore. I can't do it anymore. And I get
Yeah,
it. Like it's I would probably my anxiety would kick in and I'd get too far in my own head.
yeah.
And that
absolutely.
like the quiet too much quiet time, like just sitting around waiting, I would probably drive myself crazy.
Yeah, you fall into that lane of like, oh yeah, this is what I do. I hang out with the boys and drink, and then
Yep.
your
Hmm.
best friends at that point now turn into your enemies because you're a sloppy drunk or you're violent or
Yep.
you're
Hmm.
annoying, and that's where you see a lot of these fallouts to these long time
Yeah.
members of bands that quit, and people are like, oh, what happened? It's like, what do you mean, man? They've been ripping for 25 years, and that dude's got a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Like,
how
come
how
Yep.
on.
much how much like with how much like being in a straight edge band, like how much do you think like you guys being sober every night is like a huge like what's the word, Jay?
Advantage.
A huge advantage for you guys because at the end of the show you're all fresh still. I mean, obviously you're tired, you've been driving and you're doing all that shit, but
You're not
you're
getting
no
sloppy after
yeah,
it. You're
no
not,
one's
yeah,
sloppy, no one's
yeah.
fucking annoying. I mean, obviously everyone has their own sense of humor and all that shit, but like it's got to be super different to be in a band where it's just like, hey, we're gonna go out and fucking kill this show. We get in the van and we go to the other place. There's not like that band member that's like, oh, we got to drag him out of the fucking back because he's trying to hit on some chick or something.
Yeah, and I've toured with bands like that where it's like, oh, you got three of the members that are just drunk, and it's
Yeah,
like it takes forever to load out, and like, are they fucking their gear up? And like, oh, those dudes can't drive, so it gets put on probably the same two members
Right.
every
that is
time to
super
drive,
annoying.
and it's like,
That's got to be
you know,
brutal.
it's been done forever, and it will be done forever. Like bands can get through it, but I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in this group with all these guys that align with that same mentality that it just keeps it so grounded at points. We get on each other's nerves quite frequently because we are fresh all the time and angry and whatever.
Right.
And there is nothing to really take the edge off other than caffeine in the morning when Adam drops us off at a coffee shop. But it's I'll take it. I'll take it over being in a band with a sloppy drunk any day. And
Right.
I can deal with, dude, the guys who smoke and get high, love it. I'll deal with it all day. But a sloppy drunk,
Right.
Yeah,
no.
you know what? I never thought of the point where they can't fucking drive, and it's just like, oh, I got to drive again because dickhead's fucking wasted in
Right.
the
These three
back.
jabronis are hammered, and now I'm driving again. And where are we going next? Sheboygan. Are you fucking kidding me? I got to drive to Sheboygan. Yeah.
Yeah. And if everybody in the band does drink and one guy's like, okay, you have to drive, and then that guy is like, I'm gonna have a couple, and then he has a couple too many, it's like, motherfucker, now we're all drunk.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're staying here tonight. Like, cool. Or they, make the unfortunate choice to
Drive
drive to the
buzz,
next
which
city,
is terrible. Yeah. Yeah.
which happens more than people probably would like to admit, but it does happen.
That's something. That really
Yep.
is
Yeah,
something.
I always I think like I would be the annoying guy on tour that like just puts on like awful music that people hate. Like it's like, do we gotta listen to fucking Dream Theater tonight? It's like,
Oh
I'm
yeah, dude.
driving. Fuck you.
That's me, dude. They get pissed.
You got Time Wave
There.
Zero on. Everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yep. Oh, dude, I'll put on Time Wave Zero and Adam just earbuds go in instantly.
Sorry,
That's
that album is
hilarious.
fucking great. That last album
It's
they
so
did,
dope.
the album they did last year was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
that band is fucked up good.
Uh, another band who I put in the same vein as them, who just hit the road so much that now they are just a force. That last Gate Creeper album is something. Man, that is something. They sound
I,
fucking awesome.
I didn't dive too much into it. I think I listened to a couple tracks, but yeah, that band.
It's got that stoner side to it that I really like. So speaking of that, Mike, what's come out this year that's caught your ear? Anything that you've been listening to? You're like, yo, this is really good. This is really
Dude,
good.
I cannot wait for the new crippling alcoholism stuff.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Have you listened to the two new singles? They've got
Yes.
Blood Pony and Tinted Civic, I think
Mm-hmm.
are the
Love
two
it.
songs.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That band is crazy. We sent them an offer for the headliner and they unfortunately couldn't make it work.
Oh,
Oh
damn.
shit.
Oh dude,
They were
I
interested though.
was yeah, they emailed us back and stuff, but it just logistics or something with one of the members
It just didn't
job
work.
or school.
Mm.
Yeah, it just wasn't going to work. I mean, it's a pretty big commitment. I think it's a 5-week tour, maybe
Yeah,
4 or
it's
5.
really long.
It's a
Yeah.
long tour. Yeah,
Hal
but
has
I mean,
been. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I was just going to touch on that new "Your Spirit Dies" record.
Oh, dude, I just listened to some of that. That shit's really good.
Is that out? It
Yes.
just came out last week, right?
No, there's some
I
singles they put out.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not out yet, but the singles that came out, I think that band's super special. I love that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, songs are really good. What I
Yeah.
was going to ask though, and I think I asked Adam this, but I want to get your perspective as well. How's it been working with Century Media? Like, how much different is it touring with them? Like, are you guys getting more, not guarantees, but like, are they
Better
helping?
support? Like, are they more
Yeah, do they
supportive? Yeah.
support you financially in a way, or how does that work?
Yeah, we get like a decent budget when we go into the studio, and then there's some tour budget and video stuff like that. Where they come in handy, and they really put up the cash for us, which is nice, and that has gone up for this record than it did at Learning to Dissolve. Your budget goes up every record you put out with a label,
I'm
usually.
assuming that has to do with records. No, well, I mean, is record sales even a thing these days? Because it's all streaming. Like, how does that work with that? Because on Let It Take Its Course, what was it? Was it Unbeaten?
No, that was our first Century release.
Oh, it was. Oh, this is your third with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Let
is.
it take
Holy
its
shit.
course, learning to dissolve in the new one. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit. I thought you guys got on
No,
Century Media with Learning to Dissolve.
yeah, that was. I'm sorry. Let It Take Its Course was Unbeaten. I
Okay.
apologize. I heard you
So
wrong.
I mean, Buddy's a great dude. I've talked to him a few times on podcasts. Great dude, great label.
Oh
But
yeah,
like,
big fan.
and compared to going on tour, being under Unbeaten compared to Century Media, like how different is that? And this is no slight to a smaller label like that at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to figure out logistics for you guys. Like, how does that work? Like, is it how much more comfortable is your tour life being on a label like that? Because let's be straight here. Century Media is fucking huge. They've
Yeah.
been huge since the fucking early '90s, dude. So
Oh yeah,
being on a label like that is just that's got to be amazing for you guys. I mean, when you
yeah.
guys got signed to them, I was like, "Holy shit, man!"
It's been a lot more comfortable. Like everything Buddy does, Buddy puts on for his bands and
Yeah,
like
Mm.
knows exactly why he's there. And at the core of it, it's to like get these bands off the ground, get these records out, and get them started. And Buddy loves when these bands move on to like a bigger label because that's what his label is for.
yeah.
Like
Mm.
he's there as like almost a stepping stone for these bands. Like obviously, it would be great if you know band whoever is on Unbeaten and they get like massive and huge, but like Buddy's a very, very realistic guy, and he knows exactly what he wants out of these bands, and he's like your good uncle that just loves to see you succeed.
That's
He's
awesome.
fucking awesome. I love that dude.
And there's a
He
space
puts
for
on for his
that,
band
right? There's a space for
exactly,
that. Yeah.
and at the roots of it, it's hardcore. Like that dude is hardcore through and through. He has been so like he really aligns with those values of like getting started and whatnot. But being on Century, it has helped out a lot. As corny as it is, but having that little logo even on things like people take your band a little more seriously.
Dude, 100 fucking percent. Like,
Yeah,
if I seen, listen, if I never heard you guys before, and I seen you're on Unbeaten, yeah, I would check it out. Okay, but if I seen you're on Century, like, pretend I just heard of you guys today, and I'm like, oh, Century Media, I'm fucking hitting that right away, because Century Media has the what's Jay? I need that word again.
they've got the reputation, man.
Reputation.
They've
They
got
have the
yeah,
reputation of signing great bands, and nowadays they're
yeah,
signing bands like you guys and shit stuff like that, where it's just like, whoa,
yeah,
I didn't like when you guys got signed to them. I was like, I don't know how that fits, but I fucking love it because obviously we're friends with you guys and fucking love the band. I thought that was amazing, dude. And then I seen the way that they're going, and I think it's actually smart for whoever's doing PR over there. Like, you got to start signing bands like Orthodox because no one wants to listen to fucking Iced Earth all the time. Like, no one really cares about the new Iced Earth record. Let's be fucking honest
yeah,
here.
yeah. There's a time and a place for Arch Enemy and bands like that, but
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mike Gitter has always had his ear to the ground on new bands all the time. If you follow Mike Gitter on any social media platform,
My
he
God, the
posts
guy
on.
the guy's always at shows. He is
Yeah.
always at shows.
If I would be at any show that a Century band would be playing and I saw Mike, I wouldn't be surprised that he flew out for it because he's always doing that. He's
Yeah.
always, supporting his bands. He always comes out to our shows. He always goes and sees Bog, Lorna Shore, all these bands. But he's always at these festivals, and you can see Mike just has a look in his eye when he watches bands, and like he hears things, and he's got his ear to the ground. Mike's a good dude.
And he's been doing it for God knows how long,
Oh
right? Like
yeah, I mean,
I remember seeing Mike Gitter write-ups in Rip magazine, right? In the old
yeah,
skateboard magazines. There was an interview I think he did with Pusshead, I think. So I mean, he's been around the block and then some. And it's
yeah, dude.
some guys just, I guess, him, Monty Connor, right? Howie. Some guys just have an ear for it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
It's yeah, and try to put that, like, nail it down to a couple of things. You just either you got it or you don't.
exactly. Yeah, and Mike has an ear for bands that have it. You know, not to toot our own horn, but like he came and saw us
Mm-hmm.
live. I think he saw us at Chain Reaction, and that was one of our better shows at Chain. And he
Which is
was
a
like,
hell of a venue to see somebody at, right? Yeah.
"Oh yeah." I mean, it's such an intimate, close venue that it gets really chaotic really easily. And for Mike to see us there was awesome.
I think right now, like Orthodox is one of them bands where each member, and I don't know the new guitar player at all, so I can't speak for him, but like I've seen videos and stuff. I think right now for you guys, and me and Jay had this conversation before. We had an episode of like indispensable band members. And we were saying, like, we're not going to just bring up Orthodox because, we're buddies and all that stuff. But, like, we always said, like, if you guys were missing, like if Adam left the band, it's just like, shit, man. Like, what are they going to do? Like, if you left the band, it's like, dude, that's a huge fucking loss, dude.
It's you guys are one of those rare bands where every single person is almost indispensable.
Yeah.
And any type of replacement you got would not be, I'm sure after like 5 albums, maybe there'd be some shine there, but it just wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't be the same.
Right.
And yeah. And,
And
and
I
the
appreciate that.
point,
Yeah.
the point of me saying this is like I think when Mike seen you guys, he was just like, because let's be real here. I mean, Adam's stage presence is fucking great. Like he
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
do all that flashy shit that let's face it, dude. A lot of singers they do a show where it's just like, dude, like we know you, we know what you're doing. Adam has his own thing where even my girlfriend when she's seen you guys was like, dude, he's like crazy cool up there. Like, and I'm like, yeah, like just the point of it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people that don't listen to metal, they always expect like, oh, rape your mother, kill the dog bullshit. And I'm like, that's not how this is at all. But yeah,
Yeah. No. No. No.
dying fetus, whatever. But like, there's actually intention with this kind of stuff. There's actually people who are like super talented. You know
Whenever
what I
I
mean?
think of
Yeah.
what our parents think of with metal, what band I think of? The Berserker, the Australian band that
Yeah.
played. Remember, they had a drum machine and they played with the masks. Like, that is
Yep.
what my parents thought I listened to when
Or
I listened to
mortician
metal.
or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mortician.
dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. They
That
call
is
it
the
Yeah, like
stereotype. Yeah.
I just think Mike seeing you guys and like you guys put on a great show. Like it's always tight. Adam is just fuck. He's a great front man, dude. He's a great dude. By also, so like if he's easily likable. All you guys are easily likable, and it's like your guys' show is just like it's just good. So him
Well,
seeing that, it doesn't surprise me at all.
they there is, as someone who has seen, like, I catch you guys every time I can when you're in Philly,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
we're friends. Like, I want to say hi and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
The difference from the original shows I saw at Underground Arts and that last one you did, the co-headliner with Boundaries. This is a band that has literally, like, it is demonstrably tighter, cleaner, kind of like taking a full circle back to Whitechapel, right? You guys are pros. You got up on stage and you fucking hammered on it, and you hammered the whole
Thank you.
set, and then you got off, and that's like, this was the guy that, not that you were bad before, but you can tell that there's a maturity that's come with being on the road and playing all these shows, whatever. And it's kind of actually wild to see, like, it's like, I remember him when he was 5 years old. No, I remember them when they were like third tier, like the third opener, and now
Right. Yeah.
they're
Yeah. Yeah.
dual headlining, and they fucking crushed it. And the crowd reaction I just remember the crowd reaction being bananas.
Oh, dude, the last show we played at Underground Arts with Comeback Kid, like, you never know when you're playing with like a legacy band like that, like what the crowd's going to be like. Are they going to be older? Oh, it's a matinee show. It's like, oh man. And that was like probably the best Philly show we've played in a long time.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Like it was better than the Boundaries headliner. Like it was absolutely incredible.
Really? Huh?
Dude, it was wild. I couldn't believe it. Like, and then we got to fucking go home at 6 p.m. Insane. Because we had an off day afterwards, and then the next show was Nashville.
Oh, so you
So we
guys got
just
to go home and
oh,
then
dude,
yeah.
it was perfect. We just hoofed it home. But yeah, it was like our fans came out to that show, and that was like a super cool feeling. But to your point, touring and doing the thing all the time, and like we don't have band practice. We can't get together and like practice on
Mm,
Saturdays like other bands do, and that's fine. I get why bands do that, but you know, practice is for yourself at home alone. I go and I practice these songs. I practice them, I practice them, I practice them, and then we get together 2 to 3 days before we leave for a month-long tour, and we rehearse, and it just falls into place because that's how it
it's
should be.
it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
And
awesome.
then
Yeah, I
the
mean
kinks
it's
get worked out over the next week of getting used to the live set and how the songs flow together, and you know getting comfortable again. But if your band goes out and plays shows and you practice at home all the time, you're going to be good at whatever you play.
Mm.
yeah,
I just think I
it's
think a lot of bands don't put in that work.
The
Like
I used to
matinee,
say the same shit about recording. It's like
yeah, do the reps.
you need to
Yeah.
reps. Like you need to go home, especially these days where you could turn your computer on and play to your record. Like you need to fucking practice daily before you
yeah,
record. You just have to because there's nothing to me. There's nothing like more important than going in the studio and being fucking prepared. Because if you're
yeah,
not, automatically everyone's gonna notice this dude's a fucking jerk off. Hasn't been playing
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Like that's super important. So I'm glad that you say that kind of shit because there's a lot of people that need to hear that. It's like listening to this, especially if they're young. It's like you got to be prepared, man.
yeah.
The
And
days of going in and blowing millions, spending a month in the studio to have like one song to show for it, those are gone, right? Those are
Gone.
they're
gone.
gone, dude. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of um, I've had young people come up to me and they're like, "How do you do this, that, and the other?" And it's like, dude, it's not that deep. You just have to practice.
Yep.
Just do your thing and like don't be scared. Well, that's another thing is you can't be scared to eat shit too. I
Yeah.
think a lot of bands out here are scared to eat shit. It's like, dude, I've been eating shit for fucking 10 years of touring. I've toured in countless hardcore bands, toured in bullshit vehicles that break down all the time, freezing cold, sweating when you're sleeping. It's like you just have to eat shit, man.
Yeah,
And
it's
those are
like
those are
part of it.
those are the
Yeah.
fun tours. Those are some of the most fun times I've had touring are breaking down, getting pulled over, almost getting a felony. It's like getting into fights at gas stations randomly. It's like all these weird occurrences, and you're not out there making money, and you're not playing in front of 400 people a night. You're
Right.
playing to 40. It's just how it is.
Speaking of hardcore, I want to talk about your hardcore band because that EP is fucking good, dude. Is
Oh,
it
out,
out
out
in
in front.
front?
Yeah,
Dude, I was super
out in
impressed
front.
with that, man.
So that's a buddy of mine, Keenan. He's incredible drummer. He plays for the other band that Devin is in called Tomb Sentinel
Tomb Sentinel. Yeah.
Okay.
from Tomb Sentinel. So that's Keenan that plays drums in that band. Jordan Sloan used to be the drummer of that band.
Mm.
And then Keenan also plays in a band called Limb from Limb.
Mm.
Is that with
And
Devin as well?
no, that the vocalist of that band, his name is Chris. He used to be in that band Mushmouth.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah,
Chris
that band is
Mahmood?
no. His name is Chris Hensel.
Oh, I'm thinking of somebody. Okay. Oh
No, but
shit.
that
So
band.
Mushmouth from Philly area.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that
That's wild.
check that band out. Anyway, so Keenan plays guitar in out in front. Knox does vocals, and then our buddy Izzy plays guitar, and then
Dropped his AirPod.
drop my ear there, Bubba. What was I saying? But yeah, Keenan played drums on that record.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he's a phenomenal drummer. And then he was like, "Hey, do you just want to do this?" And I was like, "Sure." So that band is super fun.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he's on the recording, your guys' styles are pretty similar. I'll tell you that much because I thought it was you on the recording.
Oh yeah, no, He's ripping on that. I love playing those songs live though. I change a couple things here and there, but yeah, that band is super fun to
That
play for.
that brings up a question I want to ask you, Mike. How do you artists keep in your head when you're in multiple projects, right? Because everybody's got
Mm.
2, 3 bands these days. I keep fucking with Adam, telling he needs to start a band called Heterodox, and it's just terrible European dance music. But how do you does that ever get does there ever get some like schism friction in your head where, oh, I'm playing this, I should be playing that? How do you compartmentalize those different pieces? Is it a mindset thing, or how do you get in the groove of knowing, okay, I'm playing Bather songs, so Bather is played like this, whereas Orthodox is played like this, whereas Out in Front is played like that? Like, how does that work?
I mean, it's just like I think it has a lot to do with like my surroundings as like the people I'm playing with as well.
Okay.
Like if I'm sitting down practicing on my own, it it's pretty easy to transition. Like I may switch a few like actual like symbols around or something like that for for Bather
Okay.
songs versus Orthodox, but if I'm playing a show and it's like okay, Bather is also playing this show that Out in Front is opening, which happened recently. It's I'll strip down the kit to where I can like work both, and that
Okay.
that helps my mindset to where I use the same equipment. Because if I'm playing a set that's too big for a certain band, that actually fucks me up
I
in
think it
in a
probably
weird
throws you
way.
off. Yeah, it probably throws you off. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean the mindset. Like once we start the set, it's just
You're in the zone. Yeah.
it is what it is.
There's shit. There was one oh you know what band I was thinking of? Was it Limb Splitter that Devin's in?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, you're right. Limb
that's what I was
Splitter.
thinking of.
Yeah, Devin used to be in that band.
That's what I was thinking. And then I just noticed we've been going for an hour and 45
Yeah.
minutes.
So, but I'm gonna
One
cut Mike
one
loose,
more
but
question.
okay, you got yours, and then I got my closeout question. All right.
Deal.
So I think I talked to Jordan and I was like, "What's going on with Zone Zero?" And he was just like, done, pretty much." Is that the basis of that? Is you guys are pretty much done, or what's going on?
I mean, the basis of it is just we're so busy with our other.
Hmm.
He froze at
Ah, at the worst time. Ah,
all right.
let me ping him. Let me ping him.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if he comes back.
Here we
I, lo-
are.
I love how this is in the recording too, because we're gonna keep it.
Yeah, we're not taking this out.
It's like I brought up Zone Zero, and it was just like, eh. That's funny. What was going to be your other question?
It's my stumper of. There we go. He's gonna leave and come back. It's my. I can't. He can't hear us. It's my stumper of who, if you're gonna book the tour, who's the opener, who's the headliner.
Love that. I fucking love that. You know what's
I
funny about that question?
everybody I get.
It stumps everybody.
Yes, every time. All right, are we back? Can't hear you.
And we're still keeping it in. Fuck it.
Yeah, we're keeping it in. It's squirrel podcasting.
Exactly.
Zoom. Fucking Zoom.
maybe his maybe his headphones died.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever podcasted with that. Well, actually, I think I did it once when I was at work when we did that pay. Who was that? That Payone episode we did. Did I do that at work?
You did somebody at work. I forget who it was.
Yeah, it was like 5 o'clock, and I just stayed at work and did it or something.
Yeah, no, well, it wasn't Brian. It
All
was
right,
something. Oh, here we go. We got
There
you.
we
there
go.
we
We
go.
got you. All right.
Okay.
So Gorilla Podcast, and we keep it in. So as you were saying, Mike, about Zone Zero.
Yeah, we're just super busy right now. Everybody's
Okay.
doing other endeavors like that. We just like, hey, let's just not. And it's never off the table. Like we could do something. We have all the material there. Like it's just we would have to get together and rehearse a little bit and then
Hmm.
play a show or put out a song or something. But I don't think it's ever off the table. But
Right.
it's not our
For
number
now,
one
for
priority
now,
right
life
now.
is in the way. For now, life is in the way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're
Well,
all content with that. We're all cool with it. there's no animosity or anything. We're all best friends. We have the band group chat still active. They were texting in it today. Like
Right. It's just everybody's got lives and families and
exactly.
stuff, and shit happens. Shit
Yep.
happens.
That's
I'm
all.
glad to hear that it's a possibility, though. Great band.
So you're saying
Uh,
there's a chance.
I love that stuff. Big fan of that EP we put out.
I know.
Yeah,
I,
it
I
was.
I was
Yeah.
so fucking miserable that the sound was terrible at what was that? What place was that, Jay?
Warehouse on Watts.
Yeah, they're like you guys. I know you guys would sound great, but like the sound there was terrible.
The
Oh,
downstairs room is way different from the upstairs room. It's a totally different sonic profile.
yeah, that was not a fun show.
It's and the way they had it, the place set up was kind of weird. Okay, Mike, last question. This is the stumper. I get everybody with this.
Gotcha.
So you are putting together a tour where you get to choose. You are middle of the bill, so you get to choose who the headliner is and who is opening for you. Who do you go with? Both bands.
Oh, is this like an attainable thing, like within
I
reach,
mean, you could
or is this
no,
like a
you could say
dream?
like yo, I want to open for Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
That's
gotcha.
fine.
Okay,
That's fine. Yeah.
for sure. The headlining band is definitely Clutch, 100%.
Okay.
Okay.
And let's say so. You said
And the
two.
opener. So who's opening for
Okay,
you? Yeah.
who's opening for us? Fuck it, Weed Eater, because I think that would be funny.
That would be wild. That would
Yeah,
be really wild,
yeah.
actually.
I just saw Weed Eater over the weekend. I went down with a few friends and we saw him. Dude, that band is one of the loudest bands ever.
Anytime somebody gets out an orange amp, my first
Yeah.
thought is, oh shit. Like I saw fuming mouth and I thought my ears were bleeding
Oh,
because
dude.
every time I see an orange amp, my first thought is, oh man, there go my ears.
Yep. Yeah.
Especially if they have an orange fucking amp with it too.
Oh
Yes.
Are you
shit.
talking about the cab or amp?
The cab alone, I'm like, oh my god. But then
Oh
the
yeah,
amp,
yeah,
when they
yeah.
stack the amp on top of it, and the guy plugs in, I'm like, man, I should have gotten
Oh,
the
dude.
35 decibel inserts, not the 25, because this is gonna
Yeah,
hurt.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that band rocks. Weed Eater's dope. They were
that
smoking
that
cigs on stage and shit. Dude, they're crazy.
that's
Smoking
there's
cigs on
definitely a place for
stage.
that. There's definitely a place for that.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we will wrap it up here. So again, Orthodox new album comes out. The door left open June 6th. Find it on Central Media. Pre-orders are open. They're doing vinyl, they're doing merch, they're doing the whole nine. See Mike and the guys out on tour with From Joy Omerta and Mugshot. Yeah, so Mike, what band, if the people want to go to the band's website, they want to go, is it just go through Century Media? Is that what you would suggest? They want to look you up and order some
Uh,
stuff?
they can go straight to orthodoxtn.com.
Okay, here we
And
go.
that's for socials as well. Orthodox TN is all the socials.
I just noticed that there's a different Orthodox. It's some in Europe, and they do some weird, really weird.
They're like a doom
It's
band.
yeah, they Sevilla, Spain, doing experimental doom metal inspired by
Yes.
religious folklore and jazz.
Yeah,
Nice.
they're crazy. They're super nice too. We've actually talked to them online and they're
It's awesome.
they're cool with the name and everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, everybody. So check out the Orthodox album. Mike plays in 6 different bands. So by the time this recording is out, there's going to be 6 other ones. So follow
Yes.
Mike's exploits. And you guys know where to find us. Newbreed_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. For your audio complaints, 267-297-4627. New episodes every Wednesday at 12 p.m. And I remember to publish them. New reaction vids every Friday. Start your Friday lunch hour off right. Tim and I react to some really wild shit. Until next weekend, we want to thank Mike for coming on. And until next week, cheers, everybody.
Later.
Thank you.